Hey guys, still here and welcome back to From the Depths. Today, believe it or not, is actually going to be a combat episode. I have done so much building lately that, well, this is a warship. Let's make some war. Before I do that, I have a few small adjustments to the ship that I want to show you. The turrets that I built in the previous episode are done. I was able to get these things to turn freely. They are built up out of heavy armor. It looks, that might have been a missile that came in. A missile or a cramshell that immediately got tackled by the Sea Whiz, so it's nice to see those things in action. They have two controllers at them. One is the anti-missile cannon controller. This has a super high priority, so that it immediately takes over control of a turret the moment that it detects anything incoming. The other one is just your standard weapon controller, your local weapon controller. And this one is allowed to use the gun unless otherwise directed. So if there is an impending missile threat, the missile controller takes control, and otherwise it's allowed to be used by the standard weapon controller. Aside from that, I have a couple of sonobuoy launchers. These sonobuoy launchers are capable of tossing the sonobuoys 200 meters to the port and 200 meters to the starboard side of the ship. I have one over here. This one tosses a sonobuoy to the back, and I have one all the way out in the front, here hidden in the deck at a minus 60 degree launch angle, and that means that if I press the launch button, it's just going to, excuse the term, it's going to yeet the sonobuoy off of the ship. These things last for 40 seconds. They float at 5,000, or not at 5,000 meters, at 5 meters, and with that I expect to be detecting submarines a little easier, at least hopefully giving me a bit more warning. Now initially it plunges down pretty deep until it runs out of speed, and that's when you're going to see this thing get back up to its normal depth. That is, if I have it set up correctly. As I was still in the testing phase, I didn't quite do that yet, because I can only launch so many sonobuoys before the AI says, hold on, I'm processing too much stuff. So this one is the altitude fuse, and that we're going to swap back to the sonar buoy. And it has an ACB that's controlling it, which I'm going to set up to timer every 40 seconds. That's the value down here. Yeah, come on. Fine, be like that. Every 40 seconds. And he promptly clicked something else. Did I set it up? No. No. Timer. Every 40 seconds, I want you to launch that weapon. So that weapon has, or the ACB has an effective range of 2 meters. That means it controls one block. And every 40 seconds, it's going to toss out a sonobuoy. This does mean that for the AI, I've had to add sonobuoy receivers. So it has a couple of those here, and you can see that some of them are being used. We still have plenty of trackers, but I want to have a bit of a margin when it comes to the ability to, let's say, to listen out to the sonobuoys. So I'm going to set up these things, detection component, no, not, yeah, detection components, sonar buoy, one here, one there. Now I have the capacity to throw 6 of these things out. But since their lifetime is only 40 seconds, it doesn't really matter that much. Unfortunately now I don't have enough processing capability. So split it down the middle. And now I have plenty of processing capability. Alright, let's get to war. What do we have? My ship's positioned in the middle. Of course it is, because I'm zooming out, duh. There's quite a bit of resources around. So let's pick up the 22,000 here. And since I have a fairly sizable storage of 564,000, I should be able to pick up quite a bit without immediately running into trouble. Now the RTGs are immediately generating power as I'm burning it up. Currently doing 22 meters per second. And one thing I don't quite like is how deeply the bow goes into the water. So I might at some point have to make the bow a bit higher, increasing buoyancy, and thus not dipping down as low, and hopefully providing a more stable firing platform. Now, as I'm turning to starboard, I want to know what it is that is around me. There's one threat out there. There's something back there next to the gate. Something over there. Looks like the bow is clear. So I don't have to worry about that. What do we have down here? Because there was something in front of me here. Right? Here's something. No, here. You. A Vanguard. Aw. Vanguard's a really small craft, not particularly dangerous. I think 1 or 2 large missiles should immediately put it out of its misery. Over here we have a Rat, which is even smaller. It's only going to cost you 2,098 materials, so it's really cheap. And then there has to be some bigger fish around here. There we go. Salvage 22,000 materials. 2,500, 39 and 34. 29k over there. That's where we're going. I'll take the 29k. Oh, there's another 29k. Okay, in that case, we're going to push through these waypoints and pick that up. And maybe it's time to head to a more dangerous area. Now, if I can gather 311,425 materials, I can build another Glorious, which would be, well, obviously double the Glorious. So if I can just salvage that many materials, and I'm already halfway there, then, there goes the sonar buoy, by the way, then I'm capable of building another one of these. Although, I might make something different. I might make an extra ship, capable of, for example, submerging. That's what we in... Whoa, that's a lot of water on the deck. That's what we in English usually call a submarine. So I might build a submarine. Although it's been a while since I built one of those. I'm not sure if my knowledge of those things is still up to snuff. Now, of course, I will have to be fairly careful when it comes to building a submarine or any other craft. Because if I decide to control it myself, and I get blown up, it is GG. And the whole series comes crashing down. Now, I believe it's this large chunk over here that has the rest of the resources. Let's go full speed and see what I can get up to. I'm not even generating enough power for that. Damn. 31 meters per second. Give or take. But at, I think, half drive... There we go, 2,500. At half drive, I can do... I cannot generate any energy yet when I'm doing half power. No. What's the breakpoint? 40%. Give or take at 40% of power, or of main drive, I'm capable of still doing 22 meters per second, and I'm still generating my power. So I'm recuperating the batteries. Now, what is this main turret going off against? Because it's looking over to the starboard bow. What the hell is it that you're shooting at? There is something out there. But I don't know if I can even shoot nearly that far. What is that? Starboard bow. There's quite a few of those research collection circles here, but I think at this point it's just easier not to go for them and kill something large. Because this has not that much in reserve. This has 1,000 plus 13.5, or sorry, almost 14, so that's 15k total. And that's 8,500, give or take. So it's alright, but it's nothing too stellar. I do wonder what I have that turret set up to. That's the processor, here's the turret. 5,000 meters. Right. But with the shell that I'm using on this turret, can they even do that? Maximum range, 9,000 meters. Okay, they can do that. Whether I'm accurate at that range, That's a whole different question. And I think the answer will be a definite no. But, okay. I might as well. 29,000 material salvaged. Who would like to go next? Anything else to salvage here? 1700, 5 to... Let's just piss over that Vanguard, shall we? Now, in case you're wondering why it looks so shaky, that's because I'm watching this from the videos, from the screens. So the cameras are projecting this onto the screen. If you want to have better visual, this is how it actually looks. Now we're engaging something far over to the side. I think the next thing that I'll build is going to be a railgun. Just because it has such a high velocity. It's not quite a laser, but damn, those things can go really far, really fast. Now, are we heading in the right direction? Not quite. I need to head more to the starboard. Where are you, Vanguard? There you are. I'm just looking at the top of the screen where it says exclamation mark and 2 brackets. That's where the closest threat is. Now, I know that the Seawiz turrets that you can see port and starboard are not quite turning as well as I would like, but they're doing an okay job protecting the ship, which is primarily what they're for. They're not necessarily there to actually go after enemy targets, because they're only firing really small flak shells, which, against the Vanguard, is perfectly fine. But as we've seen against some other targets, it's not so very effective. Let's be kind and say that it's not so very effective. I think I'm gonna have to go and look for a gate actually, because it's pretty quiet here. A little while later, I have taken, well, pretty much no other threats out, because there simply wasn't that much to shoot at. My turret would disagree with that statement, but nevertheless, I don't feel like I've done any kind of damage. So what I'm going to do is, and I hope my my limited color vision, I'm colorblind, is not going to fail me. I believe that this is a green gate, so this is an easier area. This is a red gate, and that means bigger trouble. But also bigger rewards, as a bigger threat being taken out can also yield more results. So what I'm going to do is transit over to the higher plane, or at least the higher difficulty plane. I don't know if I've done that before. I do recall from several years ago, when I was doing the submarine playthrough, that I strapped balloons to my sub so I could make through a gate that was up high. It was really weird. It worked, but it was really weird. Anyway, here we go. Report. 1 second in type harder plane. Okay. No threats as of right now. I guess we're just gonna let the game spawn in some stuff. Now, after a bit of waiting, it looks like we have our first contender. And the contender happens to be a Weaver. Don't know exactly what that is, so let's have a closer look. And once again, I'm using the free cam to control this. I set up third-person view for enabled on this playthrough because it makes it easier with the video editing and getting you to, well, to get some interesting images. Grouper looks to be an airship. How is that being kept up? Spin blades. Okay. Now, I invested, if you will, about 90,000 in a rocket launcher battery, which I think is going to make quite a few of you really happy. I have 40 missile launchers over here parked on the stern. They're currently set up for EMP warheads, but considering the threat, I think I'm going to switch them over to warhead, which have frag warheads on them. And I believe I can set the frag cone to just 25 degrees. I am assuming that that works for... No, that doesn't work for all of them? That's not very handy, is it? Alright, we're going to set this thing up to 20... No, that's 95. 25. 25 and 25. My reasoning here is that by doing a frag launch, I can pretty quickly ensure that, let's say VLS frag, that those spin blocks get destroyed. And since they're then destroyed, the torpedoes can have an easier go at it. Although, maybe that's not even required. Because the large missiles have decided that this is worth their effort. This is worth their attention. And if those impact with their about 40,000 in high explosive damage, could be pretty bad news for that grouper over there. Oh, sorry, no, it's not a grouper. It's, boom, boom. That's 167,000 in total. Look like the chunk of damage that we took out of the hull. Nevertheless, I'm going to launch Battery 5 at it. Battery 5 is a manual control VLS. So here we go. Is this overkill? Yes. Is this fun? You be the judge. I think so. Look at that. It doesn't have to be terribly efficient. It's a game, boys and girls. It's a game. So, we're gonna have to hand this guy the bad news. Let's switch it back to standard time. Let's go back into free camera. And let's just see what those frag missiles of mine can do. Because they're gonna pretty quickly rip this thing to shreds. That was glorious. How much did you leave me? 39,000. Well, of course, it's not exactly a full recoup of my investment into my missile battery, but it is a fair chunk of it. And yes, I also invested, of course, a while ago in those large missile batteries, which definitely did a lot of work. But I still think that these are fun. And effective. Well, fairly effective. I'm also going to prepare some of these to be explosive warheads. So I'm going to say this is the explosive loadout. VLS, let's say HE. And I'm going to have an EMP loadout for them. Maybe I can just fry the enemy command system. The enemy AI with that. So this is going to be VLS EMP. And by doing these on saves, I can very quickly load them up to a different battery as and when needed. Or to a different loadout as and when needed. So that was very fast, 39,000. There is also a supply circle over here. There's not that much in there, but this one has a nice chunk of it. Almost, well, a little over 10,000. There, we picked up the 40k. Now we just need a new target. So in the meanwhile, let's do a bit of farming here. Not that one, but the other one, the more interesting circle. I'm just not sure if I still have any resource gatherers on my ship. Because I think I took those off during one of the remodelings. So let's have the resource miners back. At, let's see, this is the bow. We need to go back. Just to ensure that I can actually mine. Mirror mode on. I know I said this wasn't going to be a building episode, so I'm only doing very minor adjustments here. And this is mostly so that I can very quickly grab the resources here. Don't have to stick around for too long. Because you can basically grab 1,000 very, very quickly. And although on a ship this large, it's really only... It's a bit of pocket change, but... Well, it could just help get the ship back online. It does look like the bow sonar buoy is not quite getting launched the way that I would like it. I could make it a bow sonar buoy torpedo, if that makes sense. Just a torpedo that goes straight. And by doing that, already picks up enemy sonar contacts. Enemy submarines. Well, no, not necessarily submarines. It could be that it detects a ship. Alright, we should... there we go. Now we're mining. Alright, we're going to hold. Resource gatherer is underwater. Are you kidding? I thought those things were fairly well. Underwater, cannot function. Oh, before I forget, it has been mentioned a few times. Build bulkheads. Because right now, most of my hull, especially the innards of it, is one compartment. Just one. So we're going to quickly set up another bulkhead here. You know, Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, maximum bulkheads and all that. There. I'm not sure if I have a pump here already. I'm assuming so, but let's say at some point one gets knocked out. There. Now, let's just wait for somebody else to show up. After a surprisingly long amount of time, this little thing shows up, and I'm really not sure what it's trying to do. It's firing cram cannon shells at me, that much is obvious. But really, I don't think that we're going to be too concerned with that thing. It is, however, a nice test for the Sea Whiz. Because now I can see whether that Sea Whiz actually does what it should. Which is, when a cram shell comes in, blow it up. There comes a cram shell and it immediately gets taken out by the Sea Whiz. Now, I have some pretty bad news for that little craft. It's going to get greeted, yeah, why not, by a salvo of 40, well, maybe not 40, maybe half of my missiles. Look at that. All this stuff. Gotta love it. Anyway, we have five. Oh. Don't tell me you're dead already. Nah, they're not dead already. There's something else behind me, isn't there? Yeah, maybe out there in the distance. Anyway, this is a lot of EMP missiles going towards that target. I don't... Oh, something else just spawned. I don't think it's going to be that tricky to kill it, considering the amount of EMP. However... Oh. Never mind. AI dead. Yeah, I suppose the EMP was successful. Now, what's this thing that's coming at me here? A simoon. Okay. Is that a threat? I mean, we can assume everything's a threat. You just have varying degrees of it. So what are you? Aside from some sort of airship. Which means we're going to start loading the frag warheads. Yeah, airship. Okay. Weapon systems. VLS. I need the frag warheads here. Because it is an airship. And that means frag warheads for everybody. Frags confirmed, copy to all master launch pads, off we go. Bissell Bay 5. Missiles ready to go. Another salvo out. Now this is going to be hopefully enough to knock it down, so that the rest of the weapon systems that I have, most notably the torpedoes, are going to have a pretty easy time knocking it out. Of course, ideally I'd want to try and board it, but I really don't think that that's going to be likely. Oh, Jesus, that was quick. Holy shit. It only dropped 5,000 supplies? That's fairly low. Is that it? There's nothing out there. Did I really blow it up that bad? Did it really get blown up to such an extent that... Yeah, the supplies are over there. That it really took that much damage? Although I think I might have also farmed some other resources, because I'm at 164,000. And that is with a small attachment that I put onto the stern. A couple of rudders, even more props. And at 70% of my main drive, I'm now doing 33 meters per second. Now it looks like there was something else behind me as well. And of course, once again, the main gun has already seen it, I guess. And is going off against it. So of course it's not the main gun that has actually done the detecting. That's part of the various detection systems that I have. But it would be nice if I could get a better overview of what exactly it is that we're targeting. I'm not sure if that's possible. I'm not sure if you can get an overview, that, or let's say a screen that says, hey, we've detected threats X, Y, and Z, and you should be concerned about that one. Or that one is worth that many resources. Information like that would be a nice addition to my cockpit. Correction, my Command and Information Center, the CIC. There's definitely something out there, but... Let's see, we're firing over starboard? No, we're firing due front. Straight ahead. At... I have no idea what we're shooting. There is a fairly easy way to find out. Just launch a missile in general direction. It's a ransack at 6,000 meters. Okay. These missiles are geared for about 6.5 kilometers. So 6,000 meters is within their margin. I wonder how much how much a frag warhead can do. I'm just going to see what this one missile does. If it proves to be insufficient, I can always send out 39 others. Oh, that's Gramshell. I'm not really seeing any counter-missile systems. Well, a fair chunk of damage. I think we're going to need to give this guy the good news. That's the large missiles going out. Now, I know small missiles, medium missiles, missiles in general, they're not the most efficient system. Agreed. But... they are, at least as far as I'm concerned, one of the most fun ways to engage a threat. And aside from that, what the fuck are we shooting at here? Aside from that, they generally serve me well, so far. There's my torpedoes going at the bow, the large missile systems coming at the top. Oh, we blew up something here. Just now. Here's the ransack. That thing carries 33,000 supplies. It's already been kind enough to donate a bit of that. And it looks like it's about to donate a bit more as the large missiles come into contact there. Has it already been destroyed? No, it hasn't. That's another 75,000 damage. Did that persuade you to give up the fight? It didn't. Okay, all weapon systems cease fire. The reason why I'm doing that, I want to see if I can board it. Oh. Never mind. It died. It died. Oh, look at that sunrise. Well. That was rather brief. I'd say that the ship is, at least in this sphere of difficulty, fairly effective. Unfortunately, something seems to have struck my Seaways on the back. And it needs to get repaired. So maybe one of the cram shells did get through. I just don't exactly know how they pulled that off. Now let's slow down a bit, because I'm still discharging energy. And I'm not really in any hurry anyway. So let's slow down to 25 meters per second, grab the supplies here, and see what else is out there. But I'm going to be doing that in the next episode. The next episode should be a bit more combat. I might make some small changes to the ship off screen. I have looked into changing the main propulsion system. So my props, from props to a steam prop. It has some really nice designs in here. Steam engines, this is a bit much, 180,000. But the material cost is actually fairly low. It just means that you're constantly burning materials. And that's not something I really like. I mean, this thing looks nice. It looks like it belongs on a large warship. Not sure if this is large. But I'd rather have RTGs and sort of have my cost for propulsion immediately paid off than constantly be burning energy or be burning materials. I'm already burning materials just by having the missiles relaunch or reload. And I don't really know if I need to go with a steam engine. So for now, the steam engine is out. Anyway, that'll be all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the new VLS and the combat mode. And I'll see you soon for another episode.